Okay, let me know. I'm still looking for some feedback. Okay, hang in there, folks. I'm doing what I can. I will be there as soon as I can. I'm trying to get rid of all possible sources of the echo. As soon as I can. Okay. Can you hear me now, please? Huh? You still can't hear me? Okay, refresh your page. Yes. You have to do it again. Oh, Elaine, I guess you can hear me. That's good. How's the echo? There's still an echo. Okay. I've gone to all possible sources that I have. Okay, still bad, still an echo, huh? Okay, let me see what I can do about that. really do have all possible sources that I can think of controlled. It's very strange. No, the microphone's okay, as far as I can tell. I'm having a lot more trouble with the camera, or have been. Are you still at the stage where you can't hear me at all, Bonnie? I'm getting some feedback. Can't hear you, but there's still an echo. Thank you, Kathy. I will. Can you hear me now? And is there still an echo now? I've turned down the volume on my mic quite low in hopes that I got rid of the echo. You look super clear. Thank you. It's because I'm not using the software I was using before, and my camera gives a very, very clear picture. Kathy says I still have an echo. Is it still substantial or less? Hang on a second. It's not showing my default speakers. Well, thank you for liking what I'm doing. But I don't know why you would. As far as I can tell, I'm still not doing anything good. I don't see why I should be having open mics. Let's see. System sound. Speakers. Is there? Okay, did I lower the static? Okay, how's that? So you still can't hear anything? Okay, what about that? Oh, it's very good? Okay, Bonnie says don't fool around with anything. Good now, perfect. Thank you. I finally got it done. I guess the good part is I also learned something. I'm sorry you had to listen to all that. Okay, let's get on with it then. Okay, so there is some good news tonight. We see Nevada progress. Progress in Nevada. Definite progress. Let's look at the progress. Okay, let's look at that progress. Can't look at the progress because you still are looking at me. Okay, I don't want you to be looking at me. I want you to be looking at things that I have not even opened up yet. Hang in there just another few seconds. Oh, by the way, can you hear me while I'm talking now? Hey, Bonnie, can you hear me? Okay. Okay. So first, you've probably been seeing the results of one poll, which appeared was the first poll in a long time. Okay, for Nevada. I'm sorry, Nevada. Nevada. It's always Nevada, right? And there's a Bloomberg ad right in the middle. I'm not going to play that. How wonderful. I had this up and the dumb story has gone away on me. Well, I guess this is just not my night. Anyway, this is the poll that you've all been seeing. Which indicated that Bernie Sanders was ahead in the caucuses by 7 points. He was ahead of Joe Biden by 25 to 18, I believe. 25 to 17. I guess it was 8 points. Damn, I know I had the right link. This just screwed it up. Okay, anyway, then there were a bunch of people who were bunched up at like 14, 15, and 16, like Elizabeth Warren, okay, and Buttigieg, okay, and some other people. So, okay, but that poll has been news, okay, it's been around. Here's the poll. I should be able to get it now, hopefully. They insist. Here it is. It's cutting me out of the story, probably because I haven't subscribed or signed in or whatever. Let's see what that does. Nope. That's giving me a problem. Okay, I'm not going to try to solve this now. This is a poll which has been around for some time now, for a couple of days anyway. It was the first poll, okay, in some time. It was by the Review Journal in Las Vegas, and it showed Bernie as holding a lead of 25 to 18 or 25 to 17. I forget, okay, exactly how much. Let's see if this source has it. Okay, but that was the earlier Las Vegas poll, and that was exciting enough. But since then, earlier today, February 17, 2020, Data for Progress released an entirely new poll. And it reported on this in a memo on its site. You're seeing the memo now. And the authors were Sean McElwee, the Executive Director of Data for Progress, Jason Gans, CTO of Data for Progress, also Ryan O'Donnell, Senior Polling Advisor, Data for Progress, and Ethan Winter, Senior Advisor. And the key findings of that poll were very, very good news. Senator Bernie Sanders has a commanding 19-point lead in Nevada caucus, with 35% of likely caucus goers supporting him. He is followed by Senator Warren and Mayor Buttigieg and Joe Biden. They're all tightly clustered at 16 points for Warren, 16% for Warren, 15% for Mayor Pete, and 14% for Smokey Joe. Okay. And Senator Amy Klobuchar, who got lots of coverage from the media after her third place finish in New Hampshire, sits in sixth place with 9% of likely caucus goers supporting her. Bernie performed extremely well with Hispanic likely caucus goers registering 66% support, with no other candidate cracking double digits. He continues to see strong support among the younger voters, with likely caucus goers under 45 supporting Bernie at 64%. Of those who have made up their mind, Sanders now registers 47% support. But Democratic voters strongly support 69%, but for Medicare for all, 23% opposed, and a Green New Deal, 93% in support, 6% opposed. But Data for Progress conducted a poll of 766 likely Nevada caucus goers from February 12th to February 15th, 2020. Likely caucus goers were identified from the Nevada voter file and weighted to a likely electorate. And Data for Progress says our margin of error is plus or minus 3.4%. So this is a more accurate poll by far than the previous poll was, which was at, I think, plus or minus 4.8%. Now, the earlier poll just a few days ago that showed Bernie in the lead, and I forget again, 25 to 17 or 25 to 18. Okay, Data for Progress opines after coming away with the most votes in each of the two first contests of the primary, Bernie Sanders is going into the Nevada caucus in a strong position. He may leave in a dominant position with nearly a 20-point lead over his next most supported opponent. Senator Sanders is in a strong position to solidify his front-runner status with his showing in Nevada. From there, we will see the strength of Joe Biden's firewall in South Carolina, followed shortly by Super Tuesday on March the 2nd. I thought Super Tuesday was on March 3rd. Anyway, it should be noted, however, that this is a notoriously hard state to poll and that there is enough time between now and the caucus for things to change. Well, the caucus is on Saturday, and there is enough time for the caucus to change, but whether it can change by more than 9 points, that's another question. Bernie's base of support, of course, there can be cheating. There can be cheating. It can be that the polls don't reflect the final outcome after cheating. We all know that. We know that evidently their plans for counting the caucus votes and reporting the count are right now highly chaotic. They have tools that have never been tested out. A whole bunch of questionable things are going on there in the state, and they look to be positioned to try to cheat Bernie again. So Bernie's base of support is found both among voters under 45 and Hispanic voters. Okay, among 45, those under 45, he holds a 50-point lead over Warren, who sits in second place with 14%. Meanwhile, 66% of Hispanic likely caucus goers back Sanders, with the rest of the field accounting for the remaining 34 points. And here's a list of the demographics. The top line shows here 35% for Bernie Sanders, which is where the 19-point lead comes in, 16% for Warren, 15% for Joe Biden. 15% for Mayor Pete, 14% for Joe Biden, and all others and don't know at 21%. 21%. So the don't knows are a lot smaller than Bernie's percentage of the vote at this point. When you look at the age breakdown, you see the 64% here for Bernie, the 14% for Warren, 7% for Mayor Pete, and 7% for Joe Biden. and 8% for all the others. Okay, and don't knows this is for the under 45 age group. The over 45 age group, Bernie still has a lead there. That lead is 21-17 over Warren, even in the 45 plus group. So that's fantastic. Fantastic. Okay, Mayor Pete has 18% in the over 45 group, which makes a lot of sense. He seems to get a lot of support from older people. And then 17% for Joe Biden, and 27% for all others, okay, and don't know. Okay, among Hispanics, Bernie leads by 66%. We don't really have much of a percentage for others at all. It looks like Warren is, I don't know, it's very hard to read this. Okay, among Caucasians, 28%. I shouldn't say Caucasians. Okay, I should say, okay, among the people who self-identify, okay, as white. We have 28% for Bernie, 18% for Warren, 18% for Mayor Pete, 12% for Joe Biden, and 23% who don't know, who are still deciding. Okay, I'm not going to go through the rest of these breakdowns. But anyway, this is marvelously strong for Bernie Sanders. It's the strongest poll we've seen for Bernie Sanders anywhere thus far. Okay. It's not surprising, perhaps, then, that Bernie's two leading issues, the Medicare for All issue and the Green New Deal issue, get such tremendous support from the likely caucus goers. 93% support for the Green New Deal, 6% are opposed to the Green New Deal. That's a margin of 87% between the support and the opposed. Okay, Medicare for All is favored by 69% in support, and 23% are opposed. That's a difference of 46%. So those results are extremely interesting and very optimistic for Bernie to do extremely well. But as the Data for Progress crew says, there's still time for change. So we can't be overconfident. We have to keep up the pressure. We have to work hard. We have to keep the contributions flowing in for those who can. The canvassing has to keep up. And Bernie, of course, is out there doing events, which will be escalating this week, I'm quite sure, before Saturday. He was in California today, and he was, in Colorado yesterday, I believe. But in Vegas the day before, as I recall, and I'm sure for most of this week, he's going to be camping out there, even though he has to do some traveling to other states for Super Tuesday, as well. Bernie, though, is certainly looking extremely strong, and that is very, very good news. Very good news. Now I'm gonna briefly look at another site, which is the Political Polls site on Twitter. You should be able to see the Twitter. Yeah, you should be able to see me in the corner. And so that's cool. I hope. I'm just checking in with you for a moment to see that my sound is okay. I guess I don't want to shift the view. So, hey, Bonnie, is my sound okay? Oh, she says I'm fine. That's great. That's wonderful. Okay. Okay, the first numbers are the data for progress poll, which I already read. Okay, taking another look at them. Bernie 35%, Warren 16, and Buttigieg 15, Biden 14, Tom Steyer 10, but Klobuchar 9, Gabbard 2. The significant thing here is that Biden, okay, and Buttigieg and Warren are all around 15%. If they fall under 15%, they won't get any delegates. All the delegates will go to Bernie because there's a 15% rule in there. And they may weaken this week. It may be the appearance of this poll and other indications of the momentum, okay, of Bernie will be such that Biden at least will fall away more, and perhaps Warren too. Whether Buttigieg will fall away, I don't know. He's purportedly not too strong in that state. But there will probably be a lot of ads flowing there at the last minute. And of course, a lot of anti-Bernie ads are flowing right now from Bloomberg, and they may have an effect there too before the end of the week. So we have to wait and see. But we also have to say it looks very, very good for Bernie right now. Almost certainly, there will be people who are now going for Tulsi, okay, in the poll, who are going to go over to Bernie's side. There may be people in Tom Steyer's corner right now who decide to caucus with Bernie. Uh, I don't know where the Amy votes, okay, are going to go. Probably not too many of them, okay, are going to go for Bernie. But if Biden looks like he's weak in the caucus and that he's not getting 15%, then I think the second choice for Biden caucus goers is very likely to be Bernie Sanders. So I don't know whether there be a Buttigieg consolidation coming out of the caucus or a Klobuchar consolidation coming out of the caucus, but there may well be a Bernie consolidation coming out of the caucus. But still, the best result would be for Warren and for Buttigieg and to Biden to fall under 15% in that particular poll. Okay, and also notice Nate Silver states that Super Tuesday states where we currently have candidates who are projected to get at least 15% of the vote. Sanders in all Super Tuesday states, okay, in all Super Tuesday states except for Vermont, is Michael Bloomberg. Biden says all Super Tuesday states except for Vermont, for Utah, okay, and for Minnesota. Okay, and Buttigieg that he's projected to get 15% of the votes in Oklahoma and Arkansas only. Warren, okay, is projected to get at least 15% in Massachusetts only. And Klobuchar, okay, in Minnesota only. So the prognosis here, at least based on Nate Silver, is for Buttigieg and for Warren and for Klobuchar to get very few delegates out of Super Tuesday, and for the race to then come down to Sanders and to Bloomberg, okay, and to Biden. So we'll have to see what happens, but that's what 538 is saying right now. There was also a national Zogby analytics poll, which is a national poll, Okay, it's not a Nevada poll. Bernie is in first place with 24%. Bloomberg is in 20%. 20%. Okay, and Bloomberg has had a jump of 9 points in that poll since the previous poll. Biden has gone down by 6% and is at 18%. And Warren, Buttigieg, and Klobuchar, Steyer. Okay, in that order, Tulsi Gabbard, okay, is 3. So that's the way things are looking at the moment. I'm going to go back to my basic view now and look at your comments, and we'll see what's going on here. Uh, I see my Facebook is a little delayed in catching up to me. Kay says, the mainstream news has been bashing Bernie about the so-called Bernie Bros nastiness. I'm wondering if those nasty posts are bots planted by the GOP or even Russia. I think they're probably planted by Bloomberg. That's what I think. I think it's Bloomberg. Hey, Matt, how you doing? And Kay says, live coverage on YouTube now of a Bernie rally in Tacoma, Washington. That old guy sure gets around. Yeah, he was in the Bay Area earlier today. Evidently, he flew to Tacoma. Probably tomorrow, he's probably going to be in Carson City or Las Vegas or somewhere else in Nevada. Kay says, huge crowd in Tacoma tonight for Bernie. Just posted over 15,000 in Tacoma tonight. Wow, go Bernie. Go Bernie is right. He's really killing it now. Okay, so are there any questions? When I said question time and titled this, okay, it's question time, what I had in mind was that you might want to ask me all kinds of questions related to the recent live streams, okay, that I've done. And maybe we'll be able to find out a little more about what's going on. By the way, how do you like the views that you've been getting tonight with me actually using only the Logitech camera itself and not the virtual camera, which was essentially Logitech filtered through some software in various ways. Seems to me my image was a lot clearer tonight. That's an advantage, I think. Okay, any other comments or questions? Seems like my fan has slowed down. Maybe the load on my CPU has gone down. Hi, Dale Weaver. Hi, Robin Halsey. And hello again, Dolores. Anyway, it looks like the conflict with Bloomberg, okay, is beginning to really escalate heavily. Okay, says, yes, you look great tonight. I've been in and out due to watching the Bernie rally. That's perfectly excusable, okay? Perfectly excusable. Dale says, good evening, Doc. Hey, comrades. Yeah, I guess we can say comrades these days, and it isn't a problem. We didn't used to be able to say comrades. But of course, I'm sure they'll be starting another Red Scare soon. The mainstream loves their Red Scares, right? We're all Reds, aren't we? I thought that stuff went out with the 1960s, but it always comes back again like a bad penny, right? Like a bad penny that just won't go away. It won't go away. Yeah, yeah, yes, right. It's good we can laugh at it. If Trump gets any more power, though, we might have to stop laughing. And by the way, Bloomberg, I expect for those who are looking to elect old Michael that they're not understanding what they're getting into because he is a pretty authoritarian guy, too. And he'll be a little more clever at it, maybe a lot more clever than Trump. So while you're thinking of things to ask me or to tell me, I'm going to tell you some stories. Okay, so I encountered a lady maybe a few days back, and she is a lady, very nice woman, who said to me excitedly, well, when we get a chance to talk in a small group of people who are Democrats, I'd really like to talk to you. Okay, and so I said, oh, really? What's up? What's up? So she says, all excitedly, it's Bloomberg. It's Bloomberg. He's going to win. Oh, why is he going to win? He has the money to defeat Trump. He's going to win. So we have to go for him because he's going to win. Anyway, I replied to her in a few words, okay, extremely rapidly. And then it seemed as if she wanted to get away, so that was okay. I figured it was good for her to get away because I might say something I shouldn't say. I was so surprised at what she said. So today, Bonnie and I were at the grocery store, and I had another experience. We have seen a lady who works at the grocery store. Okay, and we've become, casually friendly with her, okay, in the grocery store. And she was doing her turn at collecting shopping carts. So she was in the parking lot, and we had gotten through. okay, and we're about to leave. And she comes over, okay, and she says, "Oh, of course you're Democrats. Okay, I see you're Democrats." So I said, "How do you know? No, we're Democrats." And she says, "Well, I see the Bernie stickers all over your car." Okay, so I said, "Well, are you for Bernie?" Okay, and she said, "No." Okay, and so I said, "Why not? Why not?" And she said, "Well, he's just a little too old and crabby for me. He's just a little too crabby." Okay, now this lady is, I'm not sure what her age is, but I know she has children who are grown, and she's an empty nester. So she's over 45, certainly. I mean, it may be a good deal over 45. So, and her kids finished college too. Okay. So she's still saying that Bernie, okay, is too crabby for us. So I said, too crabby? Too crabby? I said, and that's the reason why you're going to vote for somebody else for president? He said, have you seen his agenda? But so she said, well, I have a problem, okay, with Medicare for all. I mean, Medicare for all is a great idea. Okay, it's a great idea. Okay, I love the idea, okay, but I'm afraid too many people, okay, are going to vote against him but because of the Medicare for all program. So I said to her, have you considered how much money Bernie's whole agenda is going to save you? And she said, no, okay, I really haven't. And so I said, well, we calculated it some time ago. And we're seniors. We are on Medicare for all. I'm sorry. We are on Medicare. We're not Medicare for all. We're on the current program, okay, in Medicare. And in spite of the fact that we both have Medicare, we also have a Medicare supplement. Then we have the copays, and then we have but deductibles. Then we have to pay something for tests, and we have to pay for pharmaceuticals. Okay, and we have to pay, for this and that. Okay, I mentioned a few other items. And I said, we figured out that Bernie's Medicare for All plan with no copays and no premiums, okay, and also no deductibles. Okay, and with long-term home care, okay, for the elderly, and with what it's going to cover, okay, in terms of equipment, okay, things like that, that's likely to save us, okay, an average of $9,500 per year. So our eyes start to get large. And I poured it on. And I said, we calculated some time ago what Bernie's whole agenda is likely to save us each year. And I said, okay, so you know what it came to? Oh, nice to see you, Margot. Yeah, it's been a while since you've been able to tune in. Uh, and she said, no, what? She obligingly said, no, what? And so I said, we figured it would save us $25,250 every a year, annually. So okay, I don't know whether I blew her mind, okay, or I didn't blow her mind, but the conversation ended right there. And she went to take her carts back. And we said, see you next week. And we came home. But I had like two incidents in 3 days where some very nice people that I know who are Democrats were certainly susceptible to the appeal, okay, other Democrats. In one case, specifically a man who has only been a Democrat, but very recently, specifically Bloomberg. In other words, he'd been a Republican for some time, certainly since the year 2000 or so. He recently shifted to the Democratic Party so he could run for president. I mean, that's about the size of it. Uh, it is simply mind blowing to me that so many people still don't know about these issues, still don't know about the Bernie agenda, still don't know about what he's likely to be able to do for them. It is really disturbing, to say the least. So, Annie Lane Forbes said, Joe Biden claimed that Medicare for all will throw millions off their insurance, scrap Obamacare and Medicare as we know it, cause a hiatus in coverage, and cost more than his own plan. Yes, I know he claimed that. All of those things were lies. Now, some may technically not be lies, but to those millions who would see themselves as thrown off of their insurance, the Medicare for All program will certainly be better insurance. And of course, far better than Obamacare, certainly. Far better than Obamacare, but also better than their private insurance. So some months ago, I did a comparison of Medicare for All benefits with the health insurance that the UAW offers to its members, which is supposedly one of the best plans around. Okay, and a lot of the UAW members are afraid that they're going to lose their coverage. In other words, they view themselves as some of the people who might be thrown off, quote unquote, of their insurance. Now, it seemed to me obvious that the Sanders plan, with no copays, no deductibles, and no premiums, was straight up a much better plan compared to the UAW plan, with dental coverage, vision coverage, psychiatric coverage, I mean, it covered everything that the auto workers plan seemed to cover, and it covered it at no cost. It freed up the UAW. Margot Shepard, uh, okay, it freed up, okay, the UAW to bargain for higher wages for auto workers. Margot Shepard says, but Joe lies. I think you mean Joe Biden lies, Margot, right? So there would be no hiatus in coverage. The reason why there would not be a hiatus in coverage is that if the insurance company was still offering their insurance to people, then people who are not yet eligible for Medicare for All would be able to keep that insurance. But if it should happen that the insurance company that was offering that insurance simply decided to get out of the business early, then one has to remember that the Bernie Medicare for All plan still allows buy-in. It allows buy-in to the Medicare for All plan for all people who are not yet on it. And the buy-in would be at a lower cost than what the people were paying under their plan. And Kay points out the UAW was screwed out of health care by the CEO of General Motors when they were striking in Ohio, okay, Michigan. It was a weapon that was used against them. Yes, it was. It was. And by the way, it seems to me the union ought to be taking that as a declaration of war. That was going too far. In previous years, when the auto workers struck, the CEO, okay, of the auto companies, of all the auto companies, never moved to take their health insurance away. They still had their company health insurance. This is the first time that a CEO in the auto industry tried that kind of thing since the UAW took over the auto industry. That was really dirty pool. It was dirty pool. But it helps the UAW workers to understand that having a Medicare for All plan, like the Sanders plan, is the kind of protection they need. It cannot be ended at the whim of the CEO of one or another of the auto companies. It can't be done. So there would not be a hiatus. And even though Medicare for All plan would end Medicare as we know it, it would do so by expanding Medicare coverage and by not requiring people to pay any premiums or copays or deductibles, or creating a situation where people would have any kind of balanced billing. And balanced billing would be gone. Yes, it would end Medicare as we know it. And good riddance to it. I mean, Medicare as we know it, as I said, costs Bonnie and I, as a couple, an average of $9,500 per year. I say goodbye to all that. Give me the Medicare for All plan. In the first year, it'll be covering 55 and over. The second year, 45 and over. Oh, and I should have said 18, okay, and under. In the third year, 35 and over and 18 and under. And in the fourth year, okay, it'll cover everybody. That's Bernie's plan. But if instead of Bernie's plan, he eventually ends up passing the Jayapal plan, then the first year will be 55 and over, and the second year, everybody will be covered. And that is what we really want, isn't it? Kay says, yes, the union should. Ohio and Michigan keep getting screwed over and over. The economy sucks here now. Yeah, it sucks in a lot of the United States. By the way, it doesn't suck around the Washington, D.C. area. It's doing very well here. But of course, I think Trump's going to try to take care of that if people should be stupid enough to reelect him again. On the other hand, the situation coming up is as follows. If it should turn out, okay, that Bloomberg gets nominated as the choice of the Democratic Party, then we would have the choice of voting for Bloomberg or voting for Trump, or voting for a third party. That's a horrible choice for people all over the country. A horrible choice for people all over the country. And Richard, Dean Winfield has joined. Hi, Richard. Nice to see you. Elaine McForbes said, Biden refused to respond directly to Sanders' critiques, telling reporters, I don't respond to Bernie's ridiculous comments. He responds when he gets into debates. He's going to be in a debate with Bernie tomorrow night, isn't it? Okay. I think there's a Nevada debate tomorrow night, isn't there? Anyway, it's tomorrow night, okay, or later this week. I'm not certain at this point of which night, okay, it's on. But he may have to respond to Bernie's ridiculous comments then. And somehow, I don't think he's going to win that particular debate. So maybe he better just stay mum. Or he better just say, I'm not going to respond to Bernie's ridiculous comments. And Kay says, I refuse to vote the lesser of two evils anymore. Been doing that for most of my life. Okay, I'm over it. Yes, we would have to vote third party, okay, at that time. And maybe not just simply vote for third party, but if that happens, maybe we spend the time from the convention up to the election actually organizing that third party. So it really becomes a factor in national politics. Perhaps the Green Party, perhaps the movement for a People's Party, but okay, if the nomination goes to Bloomberg, okay, or it goes to Biden, that's got to be unacceptable to us. We can't continue to live with a party that never represents our interests, but at most only represents the interests of the professional classes and the 1%. We cannot live with that kind of party any longer. In fact, I don't think that anybody can. They've been showing us, these two parties, that they're hell-bent on destroying the climate. And with the climate, hell-bent on destroying ourselves. That is something that we cannot accept. Just cannot accept. Well, there should be a third party to vote for in Ohio. I'd be very surprised if the Green Party, okay, is not on the ballot, okay, in Ohio. Okay, Elaine says, Washington, former Secretary of State accused Democratic presidential hopeful Bernie Sanders of distorting fellow candidate and former VP Joe Biden's record on the war with Iraq, and said Sanders lacks the foreign policy experience, okay, that Biden has. He's the guy, John Kerry, okay, is the guy who voted for the war before he changed his mind, isn't he? He's the guy who lost by the election of 2004 but based on the charge that he was a waffler, because they had some videos of him or gifs of him when he was engaged in windsurfing, right? And they ran those ads to emphasize what a flip-flopper he was. Anyway, of course, I don't see any way in which Bernie Sanders is distorting Joe Biden's record on the war with Iraq. He wasn't for it, but before he was against it, he was for it, and as far as I know, he was never against it in public. Only now he says it was a mistake. Kay says, who the hell listens to Kerry? Laugh out loud. He's a loser too. He was a loser because he refused to prosecute his case in Ohio. There was clearly cheating in Ohio in 2004. And he refused to make a federal case of it. He did what Gore did in 2000. He accepted the verdict of the riggers The verdict of the cheaters. After all, it was no skin off his nose. Now, he was fixed for life anyway, right, folks? Any other comments or questions? Kay says, exactly my point, Joe. I live in Ohio. I know you do, Kay. You live down by the banks of the Ohio, right? The Ohio River. Any other comments or questions? If not, thank you very much for coming. I think it's time to say good night. I think I discovered what went wrong with my stream tonight. And I think I discovered how to fix it, at least with the sound. Of course, I have the other problem that the software I was using for my camera suddenly surprised me tonight with 5 minutes to go with a completely different setup. That was rather infuriating, to say the least. Kay says the GOP ruined Ohio is still a mess. 59th anniversary of the Kent State Massacre is coming up in May here. Yeah, I remember it well. I remember it well. Okay, thank you everybody again for coming. I'm going to say good night. I'll see you next time, which will be tomorrow night.